Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this is the Chili Bakes Gluten-Free Podcast, and today we're making peach blueberry pandowdy, which is basically a messed up looking pie with one crust that you don't even have to roll out nicely. So that's what we're making today. You get all the filling, a little bit of crust, and all the yum without all the stress. And we're going to use yummy summer fruit. Peaches, blueberries, always so good together, and cover it with this buttery crust that gets to be in pieces, so you don't even have to make it look nice. I tried, didn't really work though, so let's get on to the ingredients and equipment. What I forgot to say was thank you for joining me here on the channel and the podcast. I'm always honored to have you here with me in the kitchen, and it makes baking so much more memorable. I hope you learned something new today and enjoy yourself and feel more confident with your gluten-free bakes. If you haven't been here before, my name is Carolyn, and I make gluten-free bakes so good you won't miss the wheat. At least that's what my family tells me, which is great. That's exactly what you want in a gluten-free bake, something that doesn't taste weird, grainy, or nasty. So that's what we're doing here today. And if you've been here before, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you again. I'm here baking, as usual. Let's talk ingredients and equipment. Beyond my usual gluten-free stuff that I use for pretty much every bake, which is Cup4Cup flour, sweet rice flour, which is this stuff, helps keep the bake have a better texture. We also need a little xanthan gum, which a lot of gluten-free bakers, I was gonna say make, but they have. And then some whey protein isolate. It's unflavored protein powder. It helps the really short pastry dough that we're gonna cover I wanted to call it a galette, but that was another bake, that we're gonna cover the pandowdy with. It helps it stay together. It adds a little protein, which holds it together. You will also need a baking skillet, a 3-inch tall skillet or baking dish about 10 inches wide. I'm using an all-clad pan or whatever, but whatever pan you want. You just have to have it high enough that it doesn't bubble out, and then it's oven safe. That's what we're looking for. You don't have to have a lid. Yeah, and next is the dry ingredients. Let's go. We're starting the crust here with 1 cup of gluten-free flour. In here we have half a teaspoon of sweet rice flour, whey protein isolate, which helps hold the dough together. We have xanthan gum, which also holds the dough together, a little bit of salt, because you need some salt, and a little bit of sugar. And sweet rice flour. I don't know if I said that. All right, we're going to whisk this together. Whisk it together first. Then we're going to add the butter. We have butter, a 1/3 cup of butter cut into, like a tablespoon, and a tablespoon of shortening, which helps keep the dough nice and short, which means tender. All right. So we're going to cut the butter in using either a fork or your fingertips. And this will take a minute. I'll get back to you after I finish. Yeah. Let me get back to you. Here's what we are left with after we mix in the shortening and the butter. It's a bit crumbly looking. They say breadcrumbs, but there's some chunks in there. It actually will hold together already, but we're going to add some water. I have 3.5 tablespoons in the recipe. You might not need quite as much, so what I do is add it gradually. You're just going to sprinkle some in. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons and see what the dough looks like. This actually looks like enough. See how it's starting to clump together? And I think once I squish it together, it's going to be able to form a dough. See that? How you can form a dough now. So that's plenty. Let's just mix it together. Get a nice ball. There you go. We're just going to let that rest. Hey, I'm going to be here baking gluten-free food or baked goods. Usually it's baked goods. Twice a month I'll do long-form YouTube videos and also for my podcast, but I also do a lot of shorts for YouTube and for Instagram and TikTok as well, so I'm all over the place. So if you're interested in baking or cooking or just want to watch a cooking channel, I'd love it if you come back. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing and what you want to see. I'm really excited to have you here, even though I don't sound that excited. I get nervous when I say the plug. I feel kind of goofy. So anyway, I'm going to be here baking, so I'd love it if you come back and join me. Thanks. So we're just going to lightly zest. I can't say zest. Don't want the white part. The pith is bitter, but the bright lemon part is great. If you don't have a zester like this, it just takes the very thinnest layer. And there we go. It's probably about a teaspoon. I'm going to put that with the other ingredients to mix with the cornstarch. And then we're gonna juice this lemon. We need 2 teaspoons of juice. All right, let's set this aside. Let's cut up our peach. It's very ripe, and I'm not going to peel it because that's going to take me way too much time. So I don't love this part in the middle though, so I'm going to scrape it out. And then we'll cut it in about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch slices. If I cut it too thin, I think it's just going to turn into peach mush because they're so soft. So we'll leave them in bigger chunks. All right. Whoops. There we go. And I'm putting it in a bowl here. I will sprinkle the lemon juice on top to make sure it doesn't brown. And I'm going to keep cutting here. And I'll show you at the end. Let's make the thickener for the peach sauce or the peach filling. It's cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a little bit of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and the zest of 1 lemon. Of course, it's going to stick to the bowl because that's what it does. And the reason we add it to the sugar, it's 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. We're going to add it here so we don't have cornstarch lumps. If you just throw this on the fruit, you're just going to have gross chunky lumps of cornstarch, which no one wants. This will distribute the cornstarch within the sugar, and at least in theory, as it looks lumpy, of course, in theory it should. So here we go. We're going to add our cup of blueberries to this. So it's 5 cups of peaches and a cup of blueberries, and then we're going to add this in here. Of course, it's going to hit the camera. All right, and we just mix this together here. All right, let's roll the dough out. There's a little bit of flour on here. We're going to roll it out to like pie crust thickness. And just make sure there's still flour underneath it. Now, the good part is, normally you can just cut it apart with a pastry cutter or a knife. You could even rip it into shreds because we're not going to keep it in a whole piece anyway. So if it breaks, no worries. This is the least stressful type pie thing ever. I was going to try to make it pretty and cut it into shapes. So we'll see how that goes. But you can just cut it into chunks, like 2-inch chunks. So here's my cutter. I'm just doing weird stuff here. Trying to see what I can do with shapes. All right, let's try the heart. 5. All right, now we're gonna assemble the sucker. All right, here's my oven-safe skillet. All right, let's assemble the Pandowdy. I'm gonna put a little melted butter for a little richness. And then the peach filling goes in. Make sure it's not thicker in spots here. Now we start putting shapes on. So 1, 2, 5. All right, I put all the dough pieces on. I'll put the double recipe for the dough if you want it more thickly covered with dough. This is more like a lot of filling, a little bit of crust. And if you like the opposite, I'll put a recipe for double the dough so you can do twice as much if you want. And then we're going to do an egg wash over the top of just the dough pieces. And an egg wash is a mixed egg with a little bit of water. And we're just going to brush it on there. It's going to help the dough brown really nicely. Now it's supposed to look messy. It's supposed to look dowdy, which is not all that attractive. And I think I've achieved that. So I have big grain sugar to sprinkle on here. You could use regular sugar. I just think this looks cool. All right, and into the oven it goes.
The Pandowdy has been cooking for about 20 minutes. The crust is browning a little bit, but it's not quite done, and the fruit's starting to give up a little bit of juice. What we want to do right now is tilt the pan and get some of that juice and drizzle it over the crust. Just do it kind of all over. Leave some crust bits not covered with juice, and then it goes back in the oven to complete baking for about 15 minutes.
All right, here's what it looks like right out of the oven. It is burning hot. Be careful with your hot pot. I always put a pot holder over the handle so I don't accidentally grab it, as I've been known to do. We're going to let this cool for 15 minutes. Yum. So exciting. All right, let's try this beautiful, or not so beautiful, Pandowdy, peach blueberry Pandowdy. It's a lot like a pie with half the crust. So if you're a big pie filling person and don't want to deal with crust, this is the bake for you. So much easier. Nice sweet peaches with a blueberry. It's sweet but not super sweet. Really, really good. The peaches are soft, but they stayed together. And the crust has little soaked bits with them with the sugar. But still really soft, tender crust. It's really good with the peaches and the blueberries. This is like the easiest kind of pie you're going to make. It's kind of funky looking. It's a pretty old recipe, but man, is it delicious. Amy? I gotta stop eating. Thanks so much for joining me on my channel and my podcast. I love it when you come here. I was gonna say get here. And I hope you enjoyed baking with me today. Maybe you learned a recipe you didn't know before, and we're making it gluten-free as always. So please come back next time. I have no idea what I'm baking. Like I said before, in another podcast, I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants. I will be baking 2 long-form videos. I'll be making 2 long-form videos a month, but I don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to be a little more chill. So that's what's happening, but I will be here baking amazing gluten-free bakes. Look for me on Shorts and look for me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm in all those places. But in the meantime, make something gluten-free and delicious and enjoy it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna stuff my face. There's breakfast. Good. Peach blueberry. With a nice crisp buttery crust. Yum. Ooh, that's a big peach. Bye guys, thanks for being here.